Hi everyone. So this will be our first video of actually getting into some of the music theory, just right from the very beginning here in Unit 1. So first off, we're going to be talking about pitch. It's a word that most of us do know what it means, but we'll make sure nothing gets skipped here. So in this book, we're going to be learning about many symbols that help us understand and explore the musical world, and these symbols will represent different types of sounds and ways of making sound, and they'll help us actually to better understand the music that we hear and play. So when we use the word pitch, what we're using it for is actually to describe how high or how low a note sounds. So something that's very high, we would say it has high pitch, it's got a lower pitch. And so on a keyboard, like we have here, we can see that the pitch gets higher as you move to the right of the keyboard and lower as we move to the left. So we often talk about up to the right, down to the left. And that's a really important concept. The pitches go up higher, down lower. So even if we're up very high and we go this way, the pitches get lower, even when they're high. Lower, higher. Okay, and so in music, we also have the musical alphabet. And just so you know, I might be pausing every once in a while to make sure I'm still recording, because I've had quite a few false starts here with my program. I restarted my computer, so fingers crossed. So in music, we have what's called the musical alphabet, and it uses letters from the Roman alphabet, the first 7 of them, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And it can be read backwards and forwards. So when we go up this way, up in the pitch, it's going forward. When we go lower, we go backwards. So going down, 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 we would be going G, F, E, D, C, B, A. Going this way, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Now, I have a lot of practice saying my alphabet, especially just these 7 letters actually, backwards and forwards, and it's something you may actually want to practice. Eventually you can get G, F, E, D, C, B, A, G, D, G, F, E, D, C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C, B, A. Okay. Oh, looks like we're still recording. That's great. So we're going to talk about the keyboard. Now, a lot of people think that when we talk about a keyboard, we specifically mean an electronic keyboard. But in the world of music, when we talk about a keyboard, we actually mean any keyboard instrument. There's a whole family of them. So some of them would be piano, organ, harpsichord, clavichord, spinet, and there's more of them as well. And they all have the pattern that we're going to talk about that's very unique to a keyboard. So, as many of you probably already know, a keyboard has white keys and black keys. And that a full-size piano has 88 keys. If you have an electronic keyboard, you may find that you don't have the full set. That's very common, unless you have what we would call an electric piano. So, to play a lot of the larger repertoire of the piano, you do need to have all 88 keys. To understand music theory, though, we usually just need a few octaves. So you could actually count and see how many white keys and how many black keys you have. And it's the white keys that are named using the letters of the musical alphabet that we have over here. And this alphabet is repeated many times across the keyboard. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and so on. Higher pitch up, lower pitch down. And how it works is that our left hand is what has the lower pitch. Pardon me. And our right hand is what has the higher pitch. And if you sit in front of a keyboard, it makes sense that way, doesn't it? Pardon me. So we've got these black keys, we've got these white keys. The white keys are the ones with the alphabet names. The black keys do have names, and we will get to them eventually. So the black keys are arranged in groups of 2 and 3. And we can see that 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3. We always go back and forth. You'll never see a group of 2 beside each other, and you'll never see a group of 3 beside each other. If you have a full-size piano, you'll notice there is this one black key all on its own way at the bottom, and that's because it just happens to be that the piano ends on this A. If you were to go further and extend the piano out, lower pitches this way, the next note would be another black key, white, black, and another white, making a group of 3. So this is an incomplete group of 3. Okay. So it's important that we understand how the notes are mapped onto the keyboard. So let's start with understanding the groups of 2 black keys. So we probably all know, we've heard of the note C. It's one of the most common ones, and it's a very, here I'll get it centered a little bit better. It's a very common key. If you've ever played piano, and especially as a beginner, it's a very common key for something to be written in, so lots of C is played. So we can see we've got a group of 2, that C is the white key to the left of every group of 2, and it's mapped onto the keyboard always in the exact same place. So when we look at this keyboard, we can see here's a group of 2, there's our C. Here's our group of 2, there's our C. Here's our group of 2, there's our C. It's always in the same place in relation to these groups of 2. That's why it's important that we have these differences. These differences is what helps us know, no matter what we're looking at or what we're doing. If we plop our finger down on a key, we'll know which one it is. That's why the groups of 2 and 3 are important. I don't know who came up with it, but they're an absolute genius. So let's continue our mapping. Still on our group of 2, D is the white key between the 2. So we can see this was our C, this is our D. So we can see that as we go up to the right, that our alphabet also goes up. Okay. Let's find all of our Ds. Here's our group of 2. There's our D. Here's our group of 2. There's our D. Here's our group of 2. There's our D. Oh. Looking at my computer, I can see that it wasn't in the screen. So there's our groups of 2. There's our D. There's our group of 2. There's our D. There we have it. And that we always know. So we can know that this is C because of its placement to the left of the D, because of the alphabet, but also because it's to the left, as we know from up here. There's lots of ways of orienting and knowing where you are, and the more you know, the easier it is to find them. So our last one to orient into the group of 2 is our E, and it's on the right side. So to find those, group of 2, here's our E. Group of 2, here's our E. Group of 2, there's our E. Great. Okay. So then we have to map our group of 3 black keys. So F. F is the white key to the left of every group of 3 black keys. I'm so sorry that I keep having this little bit of a tickle in my throat. So we've got our group of 3. There we have it. Our F to the left. F to the left of our group of 3. Group of 3, there's our F. Group of 3, there's our F. Group of 3, there's our F. And if we remember our group of 2, to the right of that was our E. So we can see C, D, E, F. There's the alphabet. What's important at this time is to not use our C as an orientation and then figuring it out, going, oh, okay, that's C, so C, D, E, F. What's really important is that we orient to these groups, because it will come a time where that takes too long and it becomes laborious. So I'll actually explain a little trick I use at the end to help students not do that. So there's our F. So we often talk about G and A together because we have a group of 3, and because of that, compared to our other one here, we only had one note in the middle. Whereas because there's more notes with the group of 3, we have 2 in the middle, and they're G and A. It's also a little bit tricky because it's also right in the middle of where our alphabet stops and starts again. So this can be a little bit tricky for people to remember that it's G and A right after each other in the middle. There's our F, G, A. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Start your alphabet again. So let's find our G's and A's. So group of 3, in the middle, G and A. Group of 3, in the middle, G and A. Group of 3, in the middle, G and A. Ga, ga, ga. Yeah, so there's our groups of G's and A's. So our last note to map is our B. So B is the white key to the right of every group of 3. It's the equivalent of E over here to the right. So let's find all of our B's. Group of 3. There's our B. Group of 3. There's our B. Group of 3. There's our B. And we can look back to our groups of 2. We can see that's where we get back to our C. And now we have the whole map of C, D, E, F, G, A, B. C, D, E, F, G, A, B. So now we have all of them mapped. Now what I like to do, as I was saying, we don't want to just have C as our anchor and then sort of C, D, E, F, G, A our way back up to finding things. What I ask my students to do is to close their eyes in front of their piano, hold out their hand, run it up and down the keys, and then quickly pick one. Press it down, open their eyes with it still pressed, and name it as quickly as possible for me, only using the groups of 3 and 2. And if you're able to do that, I think you might deserve a sticker. That's always a fine thing to do. Give yourself a small sticker, especially if you're breaking the habit of using C as an anchor and going up or down from there. It's really important. And you can do it. Everyone can do it. It's just if you've already been doing it with that anchor, it's just a little bit harder to break, but I believe you can. So we're going to do one last thing today. We won't finish the unit today, but we'll do this exercise. Let's just do this nice and quick. Circle each group of 2 black keys. Well, they've done one for us, but let's trace it. I love the sound of a pencil on paper. Here's our other group of 2. Oh, and one more group of 2. Number 2, circle each group of 3 black keys. There's one. Here's another. And here's another. Number 3, write the letter name of each white key. Okay, there's a couple ways we can do this. Shall we start with our first one, or should we start with this? I think it's best if we start here rather than reorienting to C again, which is very common for people. So we have our group of 3, and we have our sort of rhyme, F to the left. There's our F. And rather than just naming them one after another, let's find all the F's. There, we have all of our F's. Now, let's pick something else. Let's go with D. Now, D is in the middle of the group of 2. All right, there's there's our D's. Let's go with our B's. B's were the one to the right of a group of three. There's our B, there's our B, and there's our B. Okay, then we had our funny little collection, our combination of G and A. We remember that is in the middle of the group of three. So we've got G, A, G, A, G, A. Okay, now let's go with E. We can sort of see now, just alphabet-wise, between D and F is our E, and we also know because it's a group of two to the right. E, E. Oh, and look at that. The last one we did was the very typical anchor, and we didn't even need it. Okay, the last one. This is going to have to ask us to recall. So I've done one for it. Name each key marked with a star. So they did that one, D. We've got our group of three to the left. F is the left. Oh, and then we've got our group of three to the right is B. Got a group of two to the right, E. We've got our group of three and we've got our two in the middle. Remember that order of G and A, ga, so we've got our G first. Group of two to the left, our big anchor of C. And then we've got our group of three, one in the middle. Oh, it's the second one, so we know that's an A. Great. So this video has been our orientation and mapping of the musical alphabet onto our white keys. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to leave them in the replies. Happy to help how I can. And next time, we'll be looking at the staff, the musical staff, a very important and a momentous invention for all of humanity, figuring out how to write music so that we can all play it hundreds of years later, like an echo from the past. Without this musical staff, because there was of course no recordings for hundreds of years of music, all of it would be lost, and that would be so tragic. I'm so happy that the musical staff exists so I can play some of the most beautiful music I've ever heard. So that's what we'll be looking at next time. And I hope you have a good day, and I hope you take care.